Yeah, is right.
My boy.
Mm, mm. I know we've been saying this for several chapters now
Yes.
about how it's all downhill from here. If you guys have been listening to our journey here so far, we've been saying that a lot. Um, but it's here now. Shit has officially hit the fan.
Oh, it has. It has, man.
This chapter is a short chapter, but it's a packed chapter. A lot happens. A lot of things are revealed if you're paying attention. But before we get into it, welcome back, guys, to the New Block Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Chris, aka Prince, with the homie Duran, aka Medic Grizz, and we are back in King's Landing for another Game of Thrones chapter. We are at Eddard 9, I believe it is.
He's like, bro.
Eddard 9, yes, yes. This is Ned's ninth chapter in the first book. We're right off the heels of with Catelyn in the Vale, where she's taken Tyrion up to go see her sister to answer for his alleged crimes.
Mm-hmm.
So last time we were with Ned, he was talking to Littlefinger after he had just effectively resigned being Hand of the King. And not Ned. Littlefinger brings Ned to a brothel, the brothel that apparently Jon Arryn was looking for. So at the start of the chapter, Ned is getting ready to leave. You know, his men that he's brought with him, Jury and Heward and a couple other people. You know, they're having a great time at the brothel, as one does. And so they get outside. It's starting to rain, and there's a lot of great. This is such a short chapter. It's like 5 or 6 pages, but George does a lot of planting seeds in this chapter. Um, and again, first time reading through, you probably don't catch it, but again, second and third time reading through, you're like, I see what you're doing, George. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. Um,
Did we
Unfortunately,
talk about before they go outside?
yes,
Tell
yes,
them.
yes, because I know what you're getting at. So go.
All right. So me being the first time listening to this and comprehending the book, totally different than what the actual television show was.
Mm-hmm.
The actual perception of them two meeting outside at their Ned's inside and finds out this is Robert's daughter. I mean, that is we didn't know his gender at the time. I didn't know it was boy or girl. But right, Robert's kid, and that the person was pure, and that Robert's only one, so there's no question about it. That's King Robert's child.
Yep.
And we're like, oh shoot. So my first question is, how many brothels are there? For you to say you can't find this place. Like this is is it like a corner store, like a 7-Eleven? A
That's a
Wawa?
good point. I don't know. There must there
Yes.
must be many because like even Littlefinger later on in the chapter he talks about the lady Shataya who runs it, and he's talking about I might buy this one, and Littlefinger already owns several brothels right in King's
I'm
Landing.
saying.
So to that point, Duran, I think it's King's Landing. It's the country's capital, right? That's where everyone goes to get work and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah.
I imagine King's Landing probably has the most brothels of any major city in Westeros, I would think.
It's mad,
Um,
bro. How many they got there?
yeah,
And then we get
yeah,
to the point that we find out that this is what's going to say that's Robert's kid. Heir. We're going to say it's Robert's kid. And we're
yeah,
seeing that the whole thing with the pattern of like why is it so important to find these kids? We're going down to the actual background image of the hair and how the silk and how they reference was it Ned's sister we were going flashbacks on?
yeah, yep, yep, yep,
Okay, so well, she had concerns about Robert being faithful.
yes, yes,
Okay, so and Ned being his homeboy, but also being the brother, was like everything that happened before you when it doesn't matter. We're focusing on what's happening right now.
hmm
So it all makes sense that she already had revisions about being with him.
right,
So her exploring other things later on, it all makes sense now because she never
yeah,
really was attached to him in the first
yeah.
place.
She was never really into it, anyways, and
Yeah.
you know you see Ned having these memories of Lyanna, and like again, George does this a lot. Whenever Ned is confronted with children, other people's children, and he oftentimes thinks of Lyanna.
It's crazy.
When he's dealing with other people's children, he often thinks of Lyanna. Um,
Like, it makes
it,
sense now. Like, everything he went through, like, we, as the viewer from this television program, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know, like, Prince read the books. I'm starting brand new from this. You would think that Rob and Lyanna was, like, madly in love. Like, you thought it was a mutual thing.
yep,
That's, from what this one short chapter made it seem glaring, this was a arranged marriage that was, one was obsessively in love and the other one was not really.
yep, yep,
And that was the middleman. So this whole time, he's always been the guy trying to keep everyone happy when he knows the real truth of his little sister.
right.
That takes some courage,
You know
bro.
that's a great point that you bring up. That like this is maybe one of the first times. I'm sure they probably allude to it in previous chapters, but the first time, kind of explicitly, we get. We've been getting a lot of Robert's perspective of him and Lyanna's betrothal, and
Mm-hmm.
how obsessed he is with her, um and everything else. And I think going back to the show a little bit, it kind of ties into like Robert's ego around the whole thing,
Yeah.
if I may, because I'm not saying that Robert didn't care for Lyanna. I'm sure he did, but I think he loved the idea of Lyanna more so than he did actual Lyanna, right? Because like it's his best friend's sister. Like it's a great political marriage. You know what I mean? Like it's of course he was going to um hold her in higher regard than like some of the other women that he's been with.
Mm-hmm.
But also too, because their betrothal was never realized. I think Robert is a little bit more upset that she was basically made to be his, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
and someone took that from him. I think
That,
it's. I think sometimes it's more of an ego thing with Robert. Like I think if, like to Liana's point, if the Rhaegar thing had never happened and everyone just got married the way they were supposed to, Robert would have been no different.
that's how it's being portrayed. It's being portrayed as it doesn't matter who Robert chose. Robert going to do what Robert wants to do.
Robert was going to be out here in the street. He
Yeah,
was
that's
always going to be out here in the street.
and it just seems like as we get to that point, ladies and gentlemen, that okay, this is a flashback, pure reference of Ned's real kind heart and how he can also get sidetracked on what his real mission really is. So we also have like the indication of the hair. He brought the hair back in there.
Hmm.
We know that this is like basically if you have the hair, you are the child. That's
Yeah.
how this is in the book.
Baratheons are known for their blue eyes and
Mm-hmm.
black hair.
So we got it like in the back. Like we know you are the seed of this, right? And then it just also tells you more about how Littlefinger. And then there's a part in the passage where everybody was trying to like, okay, we're done with here, we gotta go. And he took his time. He was basically like trying to, I don't know, either be a jerk or he already knew
He's
somebody
just
was.
a troll. He's just a troll, bro. He's just a troll.
I feel like now that we know the end of the chapter, when I get to it, I feel like he knew, like he's the one that alerted them that he was even there. Because let's go back to it. How many brothels are there?
That's true.
No one can find this particular one. It's not his establishment. But for some reason, they all find the same one. And Jamie is already in love with his sister. So it's not like Jamie was there all the time. So how Jamie even know that Robert's even there? Ned was there if no one can find it.
That's a good point. I never thought about, because like King's Landing is a big city, and it's like
Yes.
pouring down raining, right? So it's not like you're just
Mm-hmm.
outside just having a stroll and you just stumble into him, right? And like the way that they got, and I know we're jumping a little bit ahead here. There's a couple
Yeah.
other tidbits I want to touch on, but when Ned and his men kind of run into Jamie and the Lannister guards, it seems like they were waiting for them. To your
That's
point, because they
bro.
cut the street off and then they turn around and their retreat is cut off as well too. So they were waiting.
So my
They were
very
waiting.
first question was, how many are there? And if there is that so many, how do they know how to strategically block this off unless somebody snitched? And then you
That's a
take
great
your
point.
time and not get dressed and not be in a hurry. On top of that, we go back to the last Ned chapter when he said, bro, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna go tell everyone what's going on. I gotta get my people out of here. Now all of a sudden you sparking remember where we have to go. Bro, this whole thing is a setup from the beginning.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've really, now that you said that, I never thought about that, but
The
I,
setup, man.
I think Littlefinger definitely let something out because this is Littlefinger's plan the whole time, anyways. He wants the Starks and the Lannisters to be at each other's necks, anyways, right? So yeah, and he was the only one who knew where the brothel was this whole time, right? And so of course, yeah. So it makes total sense. I would put money on Littlefinger letting out some kind of tip or leak to Jamie,
Bro. He
especially
also,
knowing that Tyrion was just abducted and everything else. And yeah, that's a great point. Yeah,
here's my question
Littlefinger
though.
definitely set that up.
Who knew about Tyrion being abducted?
Oh, well, I mean, a lot of people know about it now.
Yeah, I'm saying it took a while for to find out what's going on, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so we're trying to figure this out. So all this going on, Littlefinger knew every single piece. Littlefinger also knew when Ned was supposed to leave. He knew everything, bro.
yep,
This was
yep.
so we get to the point outside. This is my point with Littlefinger. Like, Catelyn Stark's number one. Littlefinger might be like almost passing that now as the most hated person.
Mm-hmm.
This man said, "I'm gonna get the gold cloaks. I'm gonna get them and bring them back." How long would it take you to bring them back, bro? This is a
Well,
pouring rain, right? How long did
he
it
just
take
wanted to get out
you?
of there so he didn't get caught up in the shit. You know, I think about that little passage in the book in the chapter where he's like, Littlefinger, they parted for him, let him go, and then he vanished around a corner. I can imagine Littlefinger when he's out of eyesight, smirking, just just
Bro,
laughing to himself like, they're gonna fucking kill each other. This is great.
and they're sitting back there like, yeah, I'm gonna get the gold cloaks eventually. Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and wait a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
to
yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah. I'll give it a couple of minutes.
And then like, how is Jamie? Jamie is so gun ho about just I don't know teaching a lesson, representing his name. How you even question on why he was even here, Littlefinger? Like,
No, no, because, and again, Littlefinger. If Littlefinger is truly the one who tipped Jamie where Ned was, he knows Jamie's temperament, and he knows Jamie has a soft spot for Tyrion. So he knows, once the word gets out that Catelyn took Tyrion, he knows what Jamie's going to do. Jamie's always been a hothead.
bro, this
He's
this
always
is a
been a hothead. He knows what Jamie's going to do.
I'm gonna start calling Littlefinger Peyton Manning. This man is doing things like audibles and stuff like that before the play even begins.
Just
Like
read
he
the
is,
defense, man. Just
yeah,
read the
he is
defense.
just his skills of knowing characteristics and how people's temperament are gonna be, and knowing he has only thing he has is wit. He has no fighting
Yeah.
skills and can still survive this.
Honestly, his sigil shouldn't be a hummingbird. It should be a fucking snake.
Absolutely, bro.
Because
Absolutely.
this guy's a fucking creep to the
Man,
highest order.
give him a rat. Give him a rat. Snakes are too powerful.
Give him a
Give him like,
rat.
yeah, give him like a little mosquito, something that's like not so massive. Dude he's a brilliant magician.
But
That's what he is.
but before we get too into the fight, there are a couple other tidbits in the chapter that I wanted to bring up about. Again, Ned was having these memories of Lyanna and about talking about the promises that he made to her, which is not the first time we've had Ned have this inner monologue about making promises to Lyanna, and then he thinks about Jon, talks about how his
That's,
face is so like his own. So like George is trying to he's associating Robert's bastards with Ned's bastard, but also throwing a little bit of Lyanna in there, which again, the clues are there, but if you read it for the first time, even the second time, like I'm reading through it and I'm like, I can see how this could still be alluding to how Jon is Ned's bastard. Like I could see how you could still not pick that up. But
mm-hmm,
then later on in the chapter, Ned is like talking to Littlefinger and he's still trying to figure out why is Jon Arryn concerned with Robert's bastards? I don't understand.
yes.
And Littlefinger's like, look, it's maybe it's obvious that Robert had these kids and he wanted to make sure they didn't starve, so he commissioned Jon Arryn to make sure that they didn't want for anything, make sure that they were fed, they were warm, whatever. And Ned's like, no, there's something missing because like if Jon Arryn was truly killed, he's not going to get killed for just feeding some bastards. That's not
I don't.
that's not enough of a reason to kill the Hand of the King. And Littlefinger's kind of like joking, like, yeah, you're right. Like it's obvious. Like guys, especially guys in high positions, high power positions, they have bastards. That's what they do. Like whatever. And and Ned starts. This is the thing for me that when I read it again, made me start realize the whole R plus L equals J thing, because
Mm-hmm.
Ned thinks about Rhaegar in this moment. And again, whenever Ned is interacting with another child or a baseborn child, he has lots of thoughts about not only Lyanna but
Mm-hmm.
Rhaegar, and more specifically Rhaegar's character, like as a person. And he
Yes.
thinks to himself, while Robert's running around doing all this stuff, Horn, he wondered if Rhaegar frequented brothels, and he thought not. And that right there should tell you
Bro.
again, Ned never, I don't think ever, and correct me if I'm wrong, people, if you guys know the book, I don't think Ned ever has a negative thought about Rhaegar,
Bro.
which is incredibly interesting considering the consensus
Mm-hmm.
in Westeros is that this is the man, the vile prince that kidnapped and raped your little sister. He
Bro.
never has a negative thought about him.
That right there, you put in like that, like, I'm having thoughts. I have Jon. I have my sister. And we have no negativity. It's only a positive vibe. Then we cut the scene to seeing Robert's kids. He's putting the things together. I have a history with bastards. They're not worth killing for that. And then we have Rob, who runs the town and does whatever he wants to do. And then Leone's sister saying that she wasn't really into him. She's more into a
Right.
more honorable man who's similar to her actual brother.
Right.
It comes off as if like he and Ned were more alike, and that's
Yep.
who Leona wanted to be like
Mm-hmm.
and be with.
Mm-hmm.
So if Rob ever found out about that, it would break his heart to know that he always has this image of like he was taken and raped and talks so bad, and Ned in the back of head's like, nah, bro, they were in
They were in
love.
love.
She
Yeah.
just wasn't into you. Like he could never say it, but he knew it. So that whole time he has to be a stone wall and like be his best friend, but also be the big brother. Ned's character is so deep, man. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Like
and,
the
and, and you know something else I thought about, because since the big clue for the kids is
yeah
the hair color, right? I can see here how Ned is still kind of not putting it all together, because again, knowing what we know now, Jon is a secret Targaryen, but he doesn't have that classic platinum white hair color,
yes
right?
yeah
So, and remember, Rhaegar married a Dornish woman, so both their kids, baby
what
Aegon was too young, I think, to even have hair at this point, and the Princess Rhaenys didn't have the classic Targaryen white hair either. Right, so I think to that point, like when Ned's seeing the dark hair, and he's like, oh yeah, I remember Robert's other bastard had dark hair like this too. I don't think he's quite putting it together, because they don't have like DNA and paternal testing the way that we do in our world.
yeah.
So I don't think people batted an eye when Robert and Cersei had kids, because it's like, okay, we know the Baratheons are known for black hair. We know Lannisters are known for their blonde hair. I think when the kids came up with blonde hair, they were just like, oh yeah, his half of his family's Lannister, half of it's Baratheon. It was going to be one or the other. I don't think, like, they don't realize that like blonde hair color is a recessive gene as opposed to darker hair color. So they don't.
Mhm.
It doesn't. It's not clicking. You know what I mean?
Only for the
Especially
people.
considering that like Jon is a secret Targaryen and he has black hair as well too, and looks like Ned.
This is my theory. This is my theory. People who are honorable don't pay attention to stuff like that
Yeah.
because they assume that you're doing the right way. It's the dishonest. It's the little fingers, all them who are sneaky and conniving. Oh, that's so obvious. You couldn't tell
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because
You
be-
can
because
see this.
because
You can
because
see
people
that.
like, because like to your point, like the honorable people, like their
Yeah.
their skepticism radar is much lower,
It's
because of their honor, or their perceived honor.
yes.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
agree
we
with you.
got that going on, right? And then this is all happening, ladies and gentlemen, within the first 3 pages, or 3 or 4 pages of
Yeah,
them being inside this historical brothel, we'll call that. So we get to the point that it's only like 3 or 4 minutes, Rob. And we're also how the elements is raining. It's like they're horseback. Like it's not a clear sky what's going on.
Yeah, it's a
So we
bad
go
day.
out, yeah,
It's an
we go
ugly day.
outside, and it's like the storm just got worse, but in metaphoric forms as far as like Ned's potential survival. He is surrounded by all these Lannisters, and Jamie and them basically saying like, "Yo, where's my little brother at? Run that right now." And then Ned, being who he is, hey, he was taken because I said so.
Yeah, at
Bro,
my command.
no, you didn't. You had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
You had nothing to do with it, but you being the husband of the year, and that's gonna get you capped. So we
Yeah.
see that in the TV show, one-on-one spar happens, and then you see
Mm-hmm.
that stab in the back. So it makes it seem like Jamie wanted to get his rumble on, do some great night. That man got in his horse and dipped off.
Yeah.
He's a sucker, and they're gonna say kill his men. Like, you a sucker. You really are.
Well, I think so. Here's the thing, and I think what they did with the show, like making them actually fight, and then having one of the Lannister guards like spear him in the leg.
Yeah.
I think they were in a way trying to do something similar to what they kind of did in the books, where like, Ned was like it was 3 against 20. There
Yes.
is a certain amount of honor Jamie does have. Like, for example, when he draws his sword, he's like, I will butcher you like Eris if I must, but I prefer you die with a blade in your hand. And so I think Jamie knows it's 20 against 3. I'm not going to take down the Warden of the North when I'm jumping in. I'm too nice of a swordsman to do that. If I want Ned, I'm gonna get him 1-on-1, and I'm not gonna do it like this. But I do want to let him know that I'm pissed the fuck off that they took my brother. Like, I'm not gonna let this go unpunished,
All right,
right?
bro. Listen. You may not agree with this, okay? So far in the book, the legend of how great Jamie was as a swordsman,
Mm-hmm.
the evidence don't show that. The
Yeah, because
evidence.
you don't really see him get down like that. Yeah.
Hear me out. Hear me
Mm-hmm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
The evidence we have. You got a body from killing a king, stabbing in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Then we say you took down Ned Stark, but you got in a horse and you weren't really there. You were outside the skirts and your people did it.
Mm-hmm.
So the two head honchos who you could have like got, I guess, marks for or like stars for, you really didn't rumble like that.
But
So
also not for nothing, Deron. I think you're also missing too that Ned says to him, "If you kill me, my wife will surely kill your brother."
no, I get that. But Ned's also speaking of trying to protect his wife and everything else, and
Right.
overall, Ned's thinking about everybody else besides himself for the moment.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it does. But as far as rumbling goes, if you so bad, Jamie, yo, everybody stand down. We want to run this one real quick. You didn't do that.
And you know something, again. This is one of those things where, like, in the show, I like where they add little tidbits.
Yeah.
Like, before these events happen in the show. Remember, he meets Jamie in the throne room, and they're having this back and forth. And Ned's like, "Pretty armor, not a scratch on it." And Jamie's like, "Oh, people have been swinging at me for years. They just always seem to miss." And Ned's like, "I guess you're picking your opponents wisely then." And
That's
then
what I'm
and like Jamie talks to him about, like, you don't really do tourneys and stuff like that. And Ned's like, "Nah, because when I draw my sword, it's for real. I don't want people to know what I can do." And I think there is a little bit of an aura around Ned Stark, because again, he's
absolutely.
the Lord of Winterfell, he's the Warden of the North. But aside from those titles, him and his best friend overthrew a 300-year dynasty.
And
And
the
at the
truth,
end of that, it was Ned and his homies versus three of some of the best Kingsguard we've ever seen.
that's
And Ned walked away from it. Ned fought Arthur Dayne and walked away from it. People don't know how, but all we know is the Sword of the Morning, and Ned fought, and Ned's still here.
bro. And some would say Ned's the one that probably should be the king right now.
Well, they
Some would
they
say that.
they in other chapters they
Yeah.
talk about kind of the resolution at the end of the rebellion, like, all right, who's going to be king? And they made, because remember, Ned got there first.
Yes.
He got to King's Landing first before Robert did,
Mm-hmm.
because Robert had taken wounds at the Trident from Rhaegar. um the only reason why they made Robert king was one. I don't think Ned would have wanted it had they offered it to him. Number one,
Yeah.
but number two, Robert's grandmother was a Targaryen princess.
Drop knowledge. Go ahead. Drop knowledge on
You
them.
know what I mean? So that was kind of the resolution at the end of the war was like, okay, well, we're gonna make Robert king because he technically has a claim. But truth be told, Robert just took it because he could.
Your boy Ned didn't want it. Ned literally walked
Yeah.
away. Lancers couldn't do anything about it. Nobody could do anything about it. Ned literally every single chapter of Ned. I wish they would do like. Is there a book about Ned's journey of when he was a young? Because
No, but that would be awesome. I mean, I would. Here's the thing. There are so many. I think it was such a genius move for George to write this book 15 or 16 years, however long it was, after the events of their rebellion, because
yeah.
the rebellion is such an important, obviously, it's such a massive, massive event in Westeros's timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like throughout the books, you learn a little bit more here and there about the events of the rebellion. I don't know. For me, it's one of those things where like if HBO was announcing, "Hey, we're going to do a movie about Robert's Rebellion," it's going to be like a 2.5, 3 hour movie about Robert's Rebellion. I'd be like, "Oh, I'm in," right? But I'd also be like, if they never made it, I'd be okay with
You're
that too, because
because yeah.
because I feel like there are certain things about the timeline that I do think George made ambiguous on purpose.
Okay.
That like we know some of the things, but I almost think not knowing all of it makes it a little bit better for the story.
And
Because here's the thing: if you know everything that happened in the rebellion, all these little seeds that are planted in the books,
it wouldn't have so much weight. Got
they
you.
wouldn't have as much weight because you already know what all that stuff means. That's kind of the purpose of him like
I get
dropping
it.
all these
The
little
allure and the
jewels in there.
mystery of it. I get that. But I'm
Yeah,
saying, as far as that happening, ladies and gentlemen, now we just mentioned how Ned's aura and history, right? And then we see how Jamie's on the horse, surrounded by Lannisters. He says killed his men because he's going to let you know. Like you said, he's still pissed.
yeah.
Killed 3 men, even though one of Ned's men got away. He came back, I guess, just to help out what's going on. He gets killed, and then Ned wakes up basically with a stab wound. Fades in and out. Doesn't really know what's going on. All he remembers about getting to there. He sees Blair. He thinks he's back in the kingdom. He sees he's back in the bed. Milk of the puppy. I said, yeah, everything's
Look
happening
at
right now.
Papa. Yeah, yeah.
I said, yeah. So it's all happening, and he's kind of like out of it. At this time, what is going through your mind as a person who is digesting everything?
Like, I mean, reading through this, it's like, I mean, blood's been shed now. Like it's too. We're past the point of reconciliation now. You know, we're
Yes.
past the point of reconciliation, which again we talked about in the Catelyn chapter, where she started to have doubts about. You know, she was like, "This isn't a person who's acting like they're guilty of something." You know what I mean?
Oh,
But then again, she's talking about how she's pushing those doubts away. Um, I think she knows as well as Ned. That's why Ned kind of took the heat for it, saying, "Oh, he was taken at my command," because we're too far gone.
it's beyond to the point in like inside the capital. This is what's happening. Outside in the veil, complete opposite. We're about to have a rebirth of a new free man, like just when he walks out and do what he wants to do. But they don't know about that because there is no such thing as cell phones.
Right,
There's instant communication.
right.
So
They're getting ravens 2 and 3 weeks later, probably. You know what I mean?
you are doing something that is going to have a lingering impact for the future, and you don't even realize you didn't have to do it.
Yeah, and it's actually so sad because Jamie's basically like, "All right, Ned, I'm gonna let you go.
Mm.
Maybe you can run to Robert and tell him that I frightened you. I wonder if he'll give a fuck." Basically, and like he's alluding that like Robert is not a king. He's a king only in name. He does nothing. He does nothing. He
Yes,
doesn't really make commands. No one listens to him. The realm is ruled by everyone but him. He does nothing. Your boy is a lame duck on the throne.
and I think when Ned,
Because think about it, like there's no way if like me and you are good friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of us, there's no chance. One of us could be sitting on a throne, and
Mm-hmm.
the other's brother-in-law attacks you, and
Oh
like,
no.
no,
Mm-hmm.
no, no, no. I don't give a fuck who
Run
his
that,
dad is.
yeah, run that fade. Like,
We're not doing that.
run
And
that
so
fade.
that just goes to show you just how disconnected Robert really is. Because like, how can you let your brother-in-law, who is a Kingsguard, he has his entire existence is to protect you and his sister and your children.
Bro.
That's his whole purpose.
The whole
Okay?
the whole
And
count.
this is the hand of the king. I know he just effectively resigned, but this is the hand of the king and the king's best friend. That guy, you shouldn't even ever even think about
You gotta have some
pulling the
kind of
blade on him.
you gotta have some kind of fear. If you don't have any kind of fear towards a person of authority, you will do anything.
Yep.
If you're not scared, like it's like it's little parenting. I wouldn't do what curse in front of my grandma. What soap and water? Like it's just in the mouth. Like there's things you gotta have a little like I'm not
Yep.
testing that with it
And
right
this
there.
and this is and this is the thing that I feel like Ned really didn't understand because he's been in the North for so long. That your best friend is king, but he doesn't really have any teeth, bro.
King of
People
party.
are doing whatever the fuck they want
King is
at
a
court.
that's all he wants to do. The court is next time it's up at the court is just madness. So, ladies and gentlemen, you see what happened in the story. Very short chapter, but it's very, very detailed what's going on.
Very dense.
So next we're going back over to sea.
Yeah, we're going back over to Essos. We're with Daenerys next time, which is good. I like how the chapters are kind of broken up. We did some
Yeah.
Westeros stuff. It's been like Ned, Catelyn, Ned.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously because a lot of shit's happening right now with them. But it's always nice to kind of break up the Westeros politics and jump back over to Essos and get with our girl. Yeah. So
I don't know
um,
what's going to happen next, bro. I'm curious now because like the book is definitely seeing some twists and turns different than a television show, which I'm actually interested in seeing.
yeah.
I'm also like nervous
Yeah.
because I feel like I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's not what I was.
Yeah,
No, that's not
because
what
because
happened.
Game of Thrones and twists and turns usually ends in tragedy for someone.
Mm.
So,
So we love
well,
you
thanks
guys.
so much, guys, for hanging out with us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you guys thought about the chapter. And your theories, some of the things that we kind of dropped here in this chapter about, the dynamic between Jamie and Ned and yeah, and some of those other little tidbits, those kind of R plus L Gouget things. But yeah, next week we'll rip Daenerys. Don't forget to subscribe so you guys don't miss anything, and we'll catch you guys next time. Duran, it's a pleasure.
Always, man.
Peace.